Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. It's official. As of Friday, we are now on the radio as well, in addition to being on Business Talk Radio out of New York. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is The Wise Ones. Joining me on this platform each and every week is my dear friend, someone who has accomplished so much in the world that we'd have to have an entire day just to get through all his accomplishments. He is incredibly wise, and he's the perfect choice to be on this platform with me on this program. His name is red.olaughlin. He is a co-host here. He is an expert in our Talking Heads platform. He's an elevated listener on our team, and he is also an author. He's a longevity expert, and he is a book coach, and he is actually doing his series of Talking Heads presentations, which are his own show on Talking Heads, about how to publish your book for free. Let's welcome him to the program. It's Mr. Red.olaughlin. Hi, Red.
Hi. Nice to meet you again. It seems like it's been so long since the last time we had one of these conversations. It's just a matter of hours, it seems like, really. But anyway, thank you so very much for your kind words. You're always that way. But anyway, yes, thank you. The show right after this one is Talking Heads, and I will be talking about, as you say, how to write and publish your book for free. Literally free. No money out of your pocket, just your time and energy.
And it's a very compelling series. And the one that you did before on Talking Heads was about longevity, which was also fantastic. So thank you for being a big part of this platform, Red.
Thank you. You're most welcome. Most welcome.
I also want to share that you helped me publish my first book, which is an Amazon #1 bestseller. And also my second book is coming out. Let's show the graphic. I don't know. Did we decide to go with this one or the other one? I'm not even sure now.
I think we decided to go with the orange, but we're going to confirm that the next time we get together, because I need to get that locked in. And so that is to be determined. But right now, I believe that is the #1.
All right, folks, see how you get to hear what's actually going on in real life as we put it out here. So, Red, we've got a great guest backstage. Before we bring him out, I'm going to spotlight you. And for people who are joining us for the very first time and are thinking, man, this guy Red, he's got a lot of things that he does. You can share with our audience about the value that you bring to your clients and a little bit of your background. That would be phenomenal.
Thank you so very much, Dr. JACALYN. And my screen is black.
We can still see you.
Okay, fantastic. I can't see me, but that's not a problem. So I'll just talk to the wall and everything will be fine. Okay. Red.olaughlin. I'm a writer. I write almost every single day. I have almost 1,000 original content articles on LinkedIn. I've got about 1,400 blogs on my website. I write on health and wellness, primarily in the areas of aging and longevity. I research the human body at the cellular level, looking for cause and effect relationships from a chemical perspective. My first love was chemistry, and long before I met my wife, which will be 54 years here very, very shortly. My 31 years in the Navy got me to 61 countries in the world. I flew for 16 years. And just enjoyed all that. Nowadays, I have 6 Saturdays and a Sunday every single week, and I take most of my week to do the things that I enjoy doing, whether it be cooking, gardening, or writing, or whatever it may happen to be. I help new authors get their books published. As a publisher, I provide a lot of that information, the stuff that we're going over in the next hour. We're on section 5 of 6. I'm actually talking about the publishing process today. The other sections we talked about dealt with wanting to be a writer, wanting to be an author, going all the way through the writing process, getting your book up to the final manuscript level. Today, we're going to talk about the publishing part, and the next week we'll talk about a little bit of the post-publishing marketing aspect. And beyond that, what else do? I write, I speak. I speak just as we're doing on this particular show, and on tomorrow. I just had a stint with the local Chamber of Commerce. So if you're looking for a speaker, I'm certainly available for that, either digitally or in person if you're in the Houston area. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. JACALYN so we can get to our guest today.
Fantastic. One more thing before you go, Red. I know you can't see it because you can't see the screen, but can you just share with our audience, you were just part of the Talking Heads panel that we had on Tuesday. We're talking about the wise ones here today. So I think this is a good segue. What was the Talking Heads panel? What was the value you took from it?
We had several of our talking heads show up and talk about, it's actually a panel discussion. Dr. JACALYN threw us a curveball at the very, very end of about 2 minutes to go. She says, we'd like topic A, B, or C. And we all said, C, that's what we want. And she says, okay, we're going to go with B. And then she turned the show live. So anyway, but regardless, we're talking heads. We have the ability to work on our feet and everything. And so we took the topic and we discussed, in both cases, probably the pros and cons. And we gave our opinions, obviously, from different degrees. We had a lady, Mariska, from New Zealand. We had Roland, who used to be from Mallorca. He's traveling around Europe right now. And everybody else was from the United States. So we had a little bit of different parts of the world involved in it. So our geographical minds were different because of the way we grew up and the things we're experiencing. So when we talk about a topic, we have a little bit different twist than just everybody here in the United States. And that is one of the things that I think is really nice about having the Talking Heads presentations.
Thank you so much, Red. I appreciate it. And now we're going to bring out our guest, David B. Savage. And our topics today are: what are an author's true intentions, integrity in your publications, whether it's books, talks, and articles, or in your life, and how to build collaborative learnings and networks. A little bit of background about Dave. He is president of Savage Management Ltd, and he's also president of the 2021-22 Rotary Club of Cranbrook Sunrise, and co-chair of the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group D580. He's also an advisor and a director and so much more. So let's welcome David to the show. Hi, David.
So great to be part of this conversation. Thank you, Dr. JACALYN and Red.
Thank you so much for being here. So, David, we want to get into your backgrounds and how you help people, but I'd like to start off with, when you hear the words, the wise ones, what ignites inside of you? What is your passion that you are wise and you have value to bring?
Well, I focus on the word ones because it takes all of us to be wise. A lot of my belief is nobody gets to be right, but together we can come up with far better solutions, outcomes, and dealing with a very complex world we live in today. So that's my focus, is on collaborative learning and intelligence, and the wise ones is a plural.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. What we've learned before from other interviews, when it comes to being an author, it's a very collaborative community, and it's a community where authors really support one another. Has that been your experience as well?
Very much so. And thank you to the two of you for helping me collaborate here. I realize that many authors start off thinking that they want to write a book, and we realize we can't do it alone because there is so much to writing a book. If I might, I am especially gifted because in my books, my 7-book series, Breakthrough to Yes series, I actually invited 100 experts from 8 nations to give me their wisdom on collaboration, negotiation, conflict resolution, and critical thinking. So I really believe in the community wisdom. I really believe in the collaborative learning. And those 100 people from 8 different countries have really helped me a lot.
That's pretty impressive. 100 people, 7 books. You have a series. I am very impressed.
And like the two of you, this is for our shared future. This is for my grandchildren, for example, showing them the possibilities and inviting. Let me just go sideways a little bit here. Is that Adam Grant wrote "Think Again" about 1.5 years ago, and I think we need to think again. I need to look to go from adversity to awesome. Look for ways to get through this difficult, conversations, difficult politics, difficult health situations. And by doing it together, we not only get the team all working in the same way, but also we can hear things that me alone couldn't hear. There's a lot of opportunity here, a lot of collective wisdom. If I might also say, Red, you'd mentioned my 7 books in the Breakthrough to Yes series. I'm also writing 3 more books right now, and probably one I want to share in the Creating Our Shared Future lens is I'm writing a young adult fiction with my two of my 5 grandchildren. And my 12-year-old granddaughter is the lead writer. My 14-year-old grandson is the graphic artist. And I am setting the scene and really opening their opportunity to say all of us can actually be seen and be creative as writers, authors, influencers, and listeners.
I think that's outstanding, including the family in the authoring business, the publication. Plus, it may be fiction, but I'm sure there's a lot of lessons to be learned in there. That just seems to be the way a lot of that goes.
Yeah, I like interviews, books, all sorts of media. Of course, we've got our underlying messages, our underlying interests. In this particular one, it's about oneness, about collaborative learning, and it's about environmental protection. So it's a mover, and I think with people like you, Red, and Dr. JACALYN, any one of us can be seen. Any one of us can step out. And, to really come back to your question a few minutes ago, I can't do that by myself. I need to work with others to create realize the intention that I wish to create.
We were talking yesterday, or not yesterday, a couple of days ago on the panel discussion, and one of the gentlemen brought up the fact that sometimes we're told something, do this, protect the environment, whatever, and it may resonate for an hour or so. Tomorrow morning at breakfast, it's gone. You may see something else later on that maybe is a little more dramatic and might last a day or two, but then it's gone. But it's not until you have some kind of emotional attachment to something that sticks with you. Obviously, you're in this area that probably has a lot of emotions to it, but would you be willing to share a couple of those that got you involved with this, that you are really wanting to champion it, to be an advocate for it?
So thank you, because it is the experience and the feeling that we receive that really transforms and allows us to be in that learning space. I'm thinking about my environmental sustainability Rotary Action Group. 2 points I'd like to make is a year and a half ago, when we launched this in Eastern Washington, Northern Idaho, and Southeastern British Columbia, where I live, I got a lot of pushback. What the heck are you doing, Savage? You're gonna be one of those environmentalists, and you're gonna ruin business. I don't believe that at all. I think the better business and the more profitable businesses are the one that create shared value. I also noticed that as we opened up the respectful learning conversation and we listened to the young leaders in our environmental sustainability group, they blossomed. It's the first time that they were heard. So in this group, we have 3 17 and 18-year-old young women leaders in our district that are now leading. They just needed the opportunity to speak. They just needed the opportunity to dream. And such artistry comes out of that. I want to recall that one of our leaders from Nexus, British Columbia, Oliver, when I asked him to be to do a reflection to start a meeting about 6 months ago, what they did is they wrote and performed and recorded a song about why our future matters and why we need to collaborate to make it better. And through that song, through that video, I have shared that with other people, and it moves them. So that's a kind of a long answer, but having Oliver passionately speak what they wish for our future took away a lot of the positions and the barriers and the blind spots, and opened people up to love and leadership and mentoring, allowing space for those next generation leaders to take charge.
David, I heard the word collaboration a few times in the introduction, and people just don't naturally fall into that domain of collaboration. But I'm sure maybe in a corporate world or some other maybe group setting that you've been in, collaboration was not a nice thing, but actually had to happen in order for success. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's a must do. So I've in my career, I've led a number of small oil and gas companies. I've led a number of not-for-profits. I've facilitated groups on healthcare transition, re-engineering our healthcare system. I've facilitated conflict around wind farms, etc. And what happens is when I am the leader, I'm the president, director, investor, community spokesperson. When I come as a position, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you why I'm right, and you need to say yes. What do I get? I get resistance. I get walls. I'm disrespecting the people I want to work together with. When I come from a place of curiosity, where I come from a place of interest and respect, and allow others to add their voices, what I've found is the outcome is far better than what I had ever expected. It takes time. It takes time. It could take days, months, or years to get to that point. But what comes out is far grander, embraced by more. And I've also found that in one case, my company's share price tripled within 6 months.
Wow.
So the compare and contrast here to that, do I want to be the hero president or hero community leader or whatever? Those heroes, yeah, they get paid really, really well for a short period of time, but they spend a lot of time on lawyers, a lot of time on public relations, a lot of time trying to influence politicians, whatever. That's just not the gentle, respectful, loving way to go. And in this case that I just came to mind, my little natural gas company, we faced huge resistance for the first couple months on a project that we wanted to do. And we listened and listened and listened. And, I was told I was all sorts of horrible things. And I sat and I kept listening. And within 3 months, collaboratively, we came together with a plan where a third party, we identified their interests. My company's capital cost went from $6 million down to almost zero. The landowners I was dealing with were asking me, well, when are you going to do more, David? Please come back. We want more of this. And the third party, they were delighted because they were better utilizing an underutilized facility. So our shareholders, they got a little concerned. It was taking me months of listening and curiosity. And within 6 months, their value in our company tripled. So there's proof. So my bookends is, do you want to be right and try to convince and get a lot of resistance? And another neighboring company was there at the same time, and they never did their project. They just had too much resistance. Or do you want to collaborate and find out, okay, how do we serve everybody's interests? How do we, and I will not say compromise, how do we create better outcomes? And that creates better business.
So it comes down to, you have a trade-off of return on the investment, benefit for society, ecological issues. There's a lot of things there that are a concern. But what I took away at the very first, I took away two things there. Number one is that you minimize the conflict on the front end, and you actually get started on something that's a meaningful discussion that can lead to successful results. And the second thing is, now you have a track record of several different things that says, hey, give me a little bit more time. This is going to work out. You can see what I did here and here and here. And those things. So, hey, sometimes it's 3 months, sometimes it's 13 months, but it will happen. And I think that's very remarkable.
Well, and thank you. It is remarkable. And it also takes the pressure off me, because when I say nobody gets to be right, especially me, when I can listen and learn, I can start to collaborate, not only get the green light from other parties, but it teaches me a lot. And that's why in those 7 books and 45 podcasts, it was really important for me to actually be in integrity and listen to folks from Toulouse, France, listen to folks from Albany, New York, listen to folks from San Luis Obispo. So it's a gentler and far more productive and purposeful message. And that's why I write, that's why I speak, that's why I coach organizations on how to break through to yes.
Have you had any success in marriage counseling?
Oh, Red, there's a whole new conversation, because in my dispute resolution negotiation training, I know that the hardest work that you could ever do is family conflict, and especially marriage conflict. And I've got to say, I went through a very difficult one myself. So that's the test of integrity, is will I continue to hold my values of taking the higher road, transparency, collaborative thinking? And in fact, if I can compare and contrast again, what I find is when we have a $30 million conflict between 2 organizations, and I can engage the 2 leaders, that is far simpler to deal with than marriage counseling, anger at each other, because those people in the $30 million conflict have all the resources and perspective to step outside of themselves and figure it out. But when it's my heart and my relationship, the stakes are really, really high. So I will say success, yes. Challenge, massive.
Sounds like it might be a new series for a set of books for you.
And David, I was going to say, it sounds like you have gone through a divorce possibly, or breakup. And I know I have. I think, Red, you should be coaching us if you're about to celebrate 54 years.
Yeah.
Well, they asked me the question the other day, how do you do that? And I said, most of the time it's communication, being able to talk to the other person. But most important, number one, don't try to change somebody. Change will happen over time, incrementally, as you want to accommodate to help and love somebody else. But just going in, well, I love them, and I'm going to change that. That's not the way to enter that kind of relationship, because that change is you're going to be butting heads, and more than that, because that's a cultural. I don't want to use the word inbreeding, but that's so deep stamped in our brains that doesn't change. Now it can accommodate over time. And I think that's a major thing you need to look at. But if you're not talking to each other, you have problems over money, you have problems over what, it doesn't matter. The first thing is the talking. You may not agree, but then agree to disagree. And then, incrementally change on to the next thing. But, the minute you lay down, oh, you got to change. No, that's not going to happen. That's a no-win situation for everyone, I think.
Yeah. And I think that's a great place for us to pause and take a break. And David, when we come back, I would love to hear your thoughts, because you alluded to this, and I took this point away from what you were saying. I'd love to talk a little bit about heart-centric leadership, because it sounds like that is really who you are and what you're about.
And we can't separate.
All right, let's take a break and hear from some of our sponsors. Then we'll be back on USA Global TV and radio. Stay with us.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Diane Floyd Bame's A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part. You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at dianefloydbame.com.
Take a moment.
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 So I've had the privilege of photographing some incredible people over the years, and during each shoot I've asked the subject to close their eyes and take themselves to a peaceful place just for a few seconds. I've found that this really helps to refresh the energy between the camera and the subject. They had an energy that was quite special and quite different from the rest of the shoot. The collection grew, and now it feels the right time to use it for something good. I think it'd be amazing if we could help to raise awareness and involve people in the discussion about mental health. So what we're asking to do is for everyone to upload their own self-portraits. All of these portraits will become part of a massive artwork. I'm really excited to see this project go from hundreds of pictures to thousands of pictures. Essentially, an ever-evolving artwork that says we're all in this together.
Close your eyes and take a moment.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the wise word of learning and networking. And before the break, David, I teed up the concept of talking about heart-centric leadership, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this and integral part of who you are.
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN, and thank you to those sponsors. I hope your viewers and listeners had the opportunity to listen to that message about culture, about taking a moment. So, heart-centered leadership. Before the break, I started with the thought of you can't separate your heart, your soul, your mind. It's all part of who you are. And those that pretend that they want to be the heroes and disconnected from how they really feel, disconnect themselves from the people that they want to be with, to influence, to lead. About 16 years ago, Erica Fox from Harvard and a few others of us formed a group called the Global Negotiation Insight Institute. And the focus of Jeannie was to say, I matter. How I show up in a negotiation, in a conflict, in a family, really matters. And once I can understand that and express my true self, then I have a greater opportunity to create the impact in the world and the outcomes that I want. As a note, Erica really struggled. A lot of people in Harvard and in the business community said, "Oh, this negotiation insight stuff, this heartfelt leadership, yeah, business people don't really want to buy that." Even then, the publishing world was kind of in a collapse. And we just continued to encourage Erica to publish what became Winning from Within. And about 8 years ago, Erica decided, I'm going to put it out there, see if I can find a publisher. Well, at that time, it was very uncommon to have huge advances. Erica, 8 years ago, got $1 million US as
Wow.
her advance. So again, I want to provide some proof to your listeners and your viewers that of course you need to show up. Of course, I need to be vulnerable and express how I really feel. And Red, while you were counseling me on marriage and relationship, one of the things that I would expect you and your wife have done, and I try to do as well as I can, is really show up. Don't leave my feelings aside. Don't give in, and really show up. This is what I'm hearing. This is how I feel about this, and this is what I want from you. So that inner heartfelt leadership actually builds trust and loyalty that other people in your community, in your organization, in your family can actually express what's true for them.
You had mentioned earlier you had a lot of success with conflict when it's two different organizations. We talked briefly about conflict within the family. What about conflict within the own organization, your own company? Obviously, there's people who look this way, there's people who look that way, and and as you said, when that heart-centric belief is there, it's hard to change. So if you have two people fighting internally, what kind of success have you had with that?
One of the tools that have been really impactful and positive for me in my organizations and in my coaching has been assessment tools, including the Enneagram. And when I go to two leaders in an organization and I have them really study, okay, what are your tendencies under stress? How do you seek appreciation? What are your natural styles, and where are your weaknesses? Where are your blind spots? Oftentimes, when those groups or teams that are in conflict, so it's not just one person, we influence our entire team. When they actually spend the time for self-reflection and how do I react? How do I respond? What are my tendencies and blindness? Then very quickly they start to understand how they can actually complement and intertwine. In one case, a case that I was coaching. A mayor, a civic mayor, and a councillor just couldn't stand each other. And this had gone on for years. If they saw each other walking down the street, they'd walk on the other side of the street or turn around. Well, when I gave them some assessment tools and personal reflection tools, I started the session between the mayor and the councillor to say, okay, each one of you've got 20 minutes to talk about what have you learned about yourself, what's important to you, how do you get appreciation, what's your strengths, what do you not care about? And at the end of the 40 minutes, after years of conflict and aversion and, hair in the back of their neck going up, they said, oh my God, we're actually complementary. The mayor likes the public adoration, the appearance of leadership and strength and vision. And the counselor, he just really cared about science and research and proper planning. And they realized instead of being adversaries like they had been for years, they started to arrange meetings, weekly meetings, where they could actually come together, listen to each other. The counselor could provide the mayor with insight and information, and the mayor could take that out, and they both won.
Interesting. Last company I worked for was Halliburton, and they spent a lot of time with the different kinds of assessment tools, DISC and Myers-Briggs and things like that.
Right.
I probably had, I'm going to say near a dozen Myers-Briggs tests over the years, being with the military and other organizations over time and stuff. And I am a very introverted person, but I learned a long time ago that I take that hat off, put it in another room, close the door, and then when I need to do whatever I need to do, then I can act accordingly because I know what hat I'm wearing at that time. But as soon as I get out of that environment, well, I take that hat off and throw it away, and maybe I'll find it again. I don't know. I don't care. But I put my introvert hat back on, and I am a happy camper at that point in time. I got through that phase. But again, it's one of those things as you go through, there's the expectation when you're in this role. It may not agree with you, may not feel comfortable, but I know what's expected. I know what I have to do, and I'm competent to do it. And it's just a matter, okay, fine. I just put together those little internal irregularities, the uncomfortableness, those things that, it's an internal feeling, but it has nothing to do with my decision making or anything else. And so I found that to be very, very helpful. Once I learned which hat to wear and what that hat represented, then I could be more effective. But otherwise, I was a short dog in tall grass and not making any progress anywhere. And then somebody told me, okay, fine, you need to do it. Okay, well, yeah, I agree. You got a lot more experience than I do. I'll try that. And it has worked remarkably well over my life. I'm talking about the early 70s. This was pointed out to me, and I've used that technique a long, long time.
Yeah, thank you for being a wise one, Red. That is incredibly wise because, if all you know is Spanish and all I want to talk is Turkish, we're not going to go very far. But when I can realize I need to learn how to speak Spanish so that you and I can grow together, it just makes it so much simpler. And I guess the color commentary to what you just shared with the listeners and viewers is that, in fact, our goal isn't to strengthen or identify very narrowly in our strengths. The goal of our personal growth, our leadership, and our communication is actually to be well-rounded, to understand what is needed in each individual conversation with each unique human being.
I want to take that because you opened up the program before we got online and says behind you there's 9,000-foot mountain that you occasionally walk and bicycle and stuff. And that kind of capture, okay, you're in British Columbia, southeast British Columbia, just right almost on the border with the United States. And you're talking about being well-rounded. Okay, you could sit there all day long and look at the mountains, but if you don't go out and enjoy them, that's another part of it. To me, I like it when the highest thing in sight's a curb. I like it flat, hot, and humid. That's what I like. But then again, everybody's different. I can certainly appreciate the beauty of snow-covered mountains and all that kind of stuff. But that's not where my comfort level's at. So talk about the mountain behind you and why you chose the bookcase behind you with the books rather than the mountain scene.
Well, I need to learn a lot. That's what the books are about, and as authors, we love to talk about books and be in brilliant conversations like this. For me, I really get re-energized in forests, in ecosystems that are green, and in mountains. So my energy is forest and mountain energy, and for about 3 years there, up until a year and a half ago, I went on a nomadic journey where I spent a fair amount of time in Arizona, Utah, in the canyons and in the desert and Joshua Tree, because as a Canadian, I didn't understand what's the point of a desert. That makes no sense. You can't grow stuff. You can't ski on it. You can't bike on it. Like what is that? The other learning about that is when I immersed myself in camping, backpacking, biking, and hiking in deserts, I realized, oh, that's an amazing gift. That natural environment, I love it now. Once I started to understand it, once I started to connect with it, so it's being in that uncomfortable place, Red, where I love mountains and trees and giant cedars and all that stuff. But now I also love, rattlesnakes and red rocks and, rock that I can ride a bike on and not slip sideways on. If I might, I've never liked heights. So oftentimes when I'm backpacking or hiking up in the Rocky Mountains or wherever, I've loved going up to peaks, scrambling on all fours and all that stuff, but I don't like heights. So again, in the last 5 years, I've challenged myself to be uncomfortable and find as many ledges as I could find. And when I realized, yeah, if I fell to the right, I could probably fall between 100 and 1,000 feet, and I'd probably really hurt myself. But when was the last time I walked on a sidewalk that was 3 feet wide and I fell over to the right? Like, that's never happened to me in my entire life. So there is grace, there is safety, there is wisdom to say, let's explore those uncomfortable places where we can learn more, those ecosystems like the deserts or mountain ledges where we'll be okay.
Well, let me give you two thoughts for a future endeavor. Number one, if you ever go to Peru and you end up in Machu Picchu, when you see the picture, there's this mountain behind it. It's called Huayna Picchu. It's about 1,000 feet higher than Machu Picchu. I've climbed to the top of that one. It's amazing. It's about a 45-minute climb. You go down about 500 feet and then you climb up the rest. It's very easy climbing. That's one that is simple, but most people never think that it's even available to do. The second one is my wife and I walked the Camino de Santiago. It's 500 miles. We walked it in 30 days. I'm not a hiker. I used to be a runner. Now I'm a sprinter more than I do anything else. But if you're looking at a nomadic way of doing things, that 500-mile trek across northern Spain is a very enlightening, educational, and entertaining experience in your life.
Yes, thank you. Actually, both of those have been on my list for a number of years, and it's time. So it's not going to be this year, but actually my partner Cheryl and I are planning to do one or both of those within the next 2 years. And if I can do a little tourism spot here, Dr. JACALYN, we also in our area we have the Great Trail, the Trans-Canada Trail. So it actually runs in front of my place in Cranbrook, British Columbia. So I can walk from Victoria, British Columbia to Halifax, Nova Scotia. And the one I'm helping to build and renew and refresh is the Great Divide Trail, going from Glacier National Park in Montana up to the Yukon. And it actually follows the Rocky Mountains at high elevations. And it's been, by Backpacker magazine, was called the greatest wild long distance trail in the world.
Wow.
So I also welcome you, Red, and all of your viewers and listeners and Dr. JACALYN to go for a long walk together with me.
Well, I will offer to you that if you have any questions on the Camino de Santiago, I'll be more than happy to answer as many as I can or get you the answers from people I know who have them.
Thank you.
David, it's been absolute pleasure having you on this show. We have to end because Red, you have your show coming up. So, David, I'd love to spotlight you. And again, for people who are listening on the radio and they can't see the banner, how should people get in touch with you and who would you like to reach out?
Well, thank you, Dr. JACALYN and Red, for this delightful conversation. My website is davidbsavage.com. That's in David Bruce Savage, davidbsavage.com. And my email is david@davidbsavage.com. I love collaborative learning. I would love to hear from any of your listeners that want to build on this collaborative conversation. And what I'll offer is the first 20 of your audience that emails me, I will give them a digital copy of one of my 7 books. To encourage reaching out and encourage this community conversation on making our future better.
Fantastic, David. Thank you so very much.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, David, we welcome you back onto this show or any of our other shows. You're welcome to come back and join us again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for being here.
David, it's been a delight. Thank you so very much. Really appreciate it.
Take great care.
Thanks. You too. Bye. Well, Red, I'm going to spotlight you so you can give your contact information. David was a great guest. We learned a lot from him. And again, welcome him back. Your show's coming up, so let people know what to expect today.
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. In a few minutes, and literally in a few minutes, probably about 12, the Talking Heads program, Section 5 of 6, for how to write and publish your book for free. No money out of your pocket, just your time and energy. And we'll talk about the actual publishing process today. What is required for that and how do you do it? My contact information is red.olaughlin.com. Now, red, like my red hair, red, R-E-D, like the color, olaughlin.com. That's red, R-E-D, O-L-A-U-G-H-L-I-N, OLAUGHLIN.com. So I can reach it red@red.olaughlin.com or at red.olaughlin@gmail.com. Both of those I check on a regular basis. Back to you, Dr. JACALYN.
All right. Thank you very much, Red. We'll see you here in a few minutes.
Look forward to it. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you too. Thanks. Bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, whether it's on the live or the replay. If you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, please go over to our website, which is usaglobaltv.com, and you can go to book your session. You'll see all the shows that we offer there. We'd love to have you. Also, you can listen to us on the radio. I do have a banner for that. Let me put that up. And so why would you listen on the radio? So when we're not actually broadcasting, you can still listen to our shows. So we've got, I believe, about 18 months worth of shows that are going to be played on the radio channels, and you can go over to either the App Store and download MyTuner Radio, or you can go directly to mytuner-radio.com. You can also listen on Business Talk Radio, and I think the other one is online radio. So thank you again. Many ways to be engaged with us. We have people from all over the world sharing their stories and also sharing ways to help make our lives fuller, better, and more enjoyable. So thank you for being a part of this. And you stay where you are. If you want to watch the next show, I really encourage you to do that with Red, and I will be back shortly with him in less than 10 minutes. So thank you for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening.